Don't look so excited.
Is that going? It's not lit up.
Don't worry about what's lit up.
Now it's lit.
You're lit.
It's lit.
I'm going to be lit in another
All right, here we go.
19 ounces.
Oh boy. All right,
Energy. Let's go.
here we go.
Hold on.
Check Complete, a referee podcast, is an educational resource for referees by referees, designed to connect and develop soccer officials of all ages and skill levels to better serve the game both on and off the field. It is time for Season 2, Episode number 6 of the Check Complete podcast. Can you believe that? Season 2, Episode 6?
Incredible.
We should have looked this up before we started filming. When were you on here last? You were on here.
Season 1.
Season 1, Episode something. This is Tatum. We really should have been way more prepared than this, but that's okay.
Episode 17.
Episode 17. The man behind the camera tells us. Season 1, Episode 17.
So many.
It's been a while ago.
Yeah.
And you came back for more.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So Tatum, tell us your name.
I'm Tatum.
She's Tatum. She's Tatum. See what I did there? It's hilarious. Tatum Richter, formerly Tatum King. Yes. Yes. And so we've heard a little bit about you before, but we'll hear a little bit more. But first and foremost, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Staying busy, as always. Just got a little puppy. So
yes.
got my hands full with him.
Okay. Well, we'll put a picture of it up. Do we have your consent to put the dog on our podcast? Okay. So name?
Goose.
Goose. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you were to get another dog and you had two of them, would they be geese?
No.
That joke didn't work out.
We call him Maverick from Top Gun.
Yes, perfect.
Flight buddies.
Absolutely. You would have to. You'd have to. Okay. So you have Goose, and Goose is a
Golden Doodle.
golden doodle, and for those keeping score at home, that means he's half golden retriever and half poodle.
Yep.
Adorable. So you'll see.
Cute.
Yeah, he is. I saw him last night via Zoom. I haven't met him in person.
He loves
yet.
the camera.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
He should be a co-host. Oh my gosh, he will co-host the podcast. That'll be amazing. Okay. So very good. So that's exciting. Did you just get him as a puppy?
Yep. He's 11 weeks old.
Oh my goodness. Where'd you get him from?
A breeder in Blue Springs.
Oh, okay. It's not like Petco.
No.
You're not supposed to get dogs from like Petco and stuff, are you? Do they even sell those?
I don't know. They have a lot of cats.
I almost impulse bought a turtle one time from a Petco, but I would have killed it. I don't know how to maintain that, but I kind of thought it'd be cool. I followed this thing on Instagram, Tortoise Whisperer.
Yeah.
You ever follow that?
No.
It's not a paid ad either. But the Tortoise Whisperer was super fascinating. And there was a difference between a turtle and tortoise. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if one's faster than the other or if the bunny's going to lose to them both. I don't know.
We should test it out sometime.
We should. That'll be our next episode. Maybe that'll be our nerd out segment for this. Who's faster, turtle, tortoise, bunny? Hare. Is there a difference between a bunny and a hare? Anyway, gosh, you were getting us so off track, Tatum. So anyway, you're living the dream with a new little beast roaming around. That's very exciting. And we're recording this in early August. So we've got an exciting fall season that is staring us in the face. So that'll be fun. But before we get into that, I know we probably talked about this. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what we discussed back in Season 1, Episode 17. But maybe just a little bit about you. You got started refereeing when?
I started when I was 11 years old. It was just something to do on the weekends. And so I went out to the little 5, 6-year-olds. And then until I was 12, then I would go and do Heartland. And just started to excel from there. Got seen from our wonderful mentors and have stuck with it ever since.
Very good. The follow-up question was going to be, why did you get started? So you've already kind of answered that. It was just something to do on the weekend.
Yes, and I'm a big golfer, so being able to pick my schedule, so I would referee in the mornings and then go out and practice and play golf in the afternoons.
Yeah. So golf, let's talk about that. Let's talk about golf. Golf has played a significant role in your life. What has the impact of golf been for you?
It's taught me a lot of time management and patience, and being able to go out and meet people from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So golf has taken you to different places, including college.
Yep.
You tell us about that.
College. Yep. I played golf at Illinois State University. Played there for 4 years. Had a wonderful experience, and now I just play in the local ladies leagues during the week.
There you go. Very good. And kicks all of our butts at Topgolf. So,
Yes.
yeah. I just get frustrated and just start throwing the balls into the little red circles because I can get points if
Right.
we're doing that.
You should try to get a hole in one, throwing it in there.
I've almost got it. Yeah, I've got a cannon. Anyway, so that's golf for you. I'm curious. This sounds like a question I may have asked before, but what you have learned through golf, the lessons learned, the experiences gained, the opportunities seized through golf, does that impact your refereeing? Does it impact other areas of your life professionally? Do you see where that breaks through?
Yeah, every day I interact with different clients, and so being able to adjust to the situation and deal with different personalities, like referee and golf has helped me with both of that. Being patient, sometimes you're not always going to hit a good shot or you're not going to make a good call on the field, but having that patience to move on to the next thing has been a beneficial skill that I've learned.
Yeah. I found that golf and refereeing collide for me. The rarity of a good shot and the rarity of a good call are about the same
Yeah.
in my world.
But every day, every game is different.
That's true. That's true. Very
And
true.
it keeps you coming back for more.
Yeah, sometimes. What do you do professionally?
I work as an accountant, as an auditor.
We are back-to-back weeks of accountants as guests hosts. So that was completely unplanned, right? Completely unplanned. We did not even think about it. We just thought, hey, two great people that work the most riveting job in the world. And that is being accountants, right?
Yep.
No. So yeah, there you go. So you work in that line of work, and we talked about this with PJ in our last episode. But you find that is something that's flexible enough to let you continue to pursue your passions, whether that be officiating, whether that be the golf, staying connected. Do you find opportunities to still do those things?
Yep, for sure. My company is very flexible, and they let me go out and referee, take the time off that I need to do that as long as I'm getting my work done.
Mm-hmm.
Golf, it's been great. I've been going out and playing client tournaments on scramble teams, so
Nice.
I still get the best of both worlds.
That's awesome. Very good. So, looking forward to this fall season, what would you say, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot, I didn't prepare you for this question, but what are you most excited about?
I'm just excited to start traveling with my husband again and going out to all the different universities and, just getting back on the field and refereeing again.
That's exciting. That'll be
competitive
awesome.
games.
Yeah, absolutely. They're coming down the chute very quickly. And
Yes.
hopefully the weather cools down a little bit before then. But
Yeah.
So long-term goals, how does officiating fit into, because there's many folks I'm sure that are listening, or we could talk about different stories where as we go along, life circumstances change, things change, you get a dog, you buy a house, you have professional goals and aspirations. How does officiating work into that? What are your goals relative to the path forward? And you can answer that whether it's how officiating fits into that or professionally. Take this very poorly worded question and do whatever you want with it.
Well, my goals moving forward, I hope I can stay around refereeing. I know I'm going to continue moving up on the ladder of my job, but as long as I can make time, I love refereeing, so I know I would at least make time to stick around.
That's awesome. And we talked about this with PJ in our last episode, but for me, it's always important as we interview different guests and hear different stories to show all the different types of people, backgrounds, vocations, all these different things that make up referees. Like, it's not just one, cut, this is the you have to fit this mold per se. But it's something that's available for people in all sorts of walks of life, from various backgrounds, in different jobs, that kind of thing, these things are available, and you've been able to make that work, and it sounds like you plan to continue to make that work as life continues to move forward, which I think is hopefully is good news, because there's probably somebody out there that has a, obviously never identical, but similar story,
Right.
and go, oh, I can make something like this work,
Yep.
you know, so.
Even
Yeah.
if it's not doing as many games as you're used to doing, just finding a weekend to do a couple games here and there.
Right. Stay connected, pay the dues, which I understand, you know, uniforms change, all that kind of stuff, and get a little bit, but stay connected, keep the dues. I mean, if nothing else, staying connected to that community of people, right?
Exactly.
The little referee family that we have, and continue to lean into the opportunities that come through that, and connections. And maybe, I don't know, have you ever had young referees that are interested in your line of work that you've been able to connect with or mentor? Has that ever come up?
I don't think so yet. Accounting, I feel like, is not the most fun. That.
Sure. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. But it would just be interesting, and I'm sure there's many that could tell that story where folks go, you know, hey, I'd like to connect with you about, not about refereeing, but about how you got to where you're at in life.
Yeah.
You know? And so I would be, it's no surprise that it hasn't happened necessarily, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. You know what I mean? I could see that being something down the road where you're like, you know, I know that's when in my role with the director of referee development piece, when I hear young people talking about their goals and aspirations, I can immediately, if I hear someone say a career or something they're interested in, I kind of go, oh, people come to mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, if somebody talks about law or, you know, accounting, right? You know, all these different things, you can go, oh, wait, I know someone, you know. And so those connections can be extremely valuable. So, very good.
Yeah. And hopefully being back in town, I can go out and start mentoring and meeting some of the up-and-coming referees and interact with them a little bit more.
We would love that from a leadership side. They would love that. Just to have the opportunity to connect with you guys, with you, and hear your story and get some good feedback. And if nothing else, I think the mentoring that we're seeing more and more is needed is just simply going out and going, thanks for being here. Right? I mean, for crying out loud. There's sometimes where we want to break everything down. Those of us that have been in it for a long time, we're like, want to break all this down. You have all these little intricacies. I think first and foremost, especially for the youngsters, it's like, thanks for coming. We hope to see you back next week.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is the most important thing.
Right.
So, anyway, well, Tatum, thank you so much. We didn't draw one already, right? No, we haven't drawn a name yet. So Tatum's going to help us draw this, and then we're going to take a short break, and we're going to nerd out.
All right.
Okay, segment number 2. Last week on episode 5 was our first segment with PJ. We talked about whistles. This week we're going to nerd out about something else, but we have all the names of people that have submitted a suggestion via all sorts of things, mediums, so they could, you know, Instagram, Twitter @check_complete, Facebook Check Complete Podcast. Write it into the comments on the YouTubes if you're watching us on there. Send us in an email, info@checkcompletepodcast.com, all that stuff. Okay, so, all right, here we go.
Can I look?
There you go. All right, let's see who we got here. Fernando Pena. Oh my goodness. Fernando. Oh goodness. He was just texting me the other day telling me that he needs a new Check Complete Podcast sticker. So this has worked out.
Yeah.
The soccer gods have shone down on us. So thank you, Fernando, for your suggestion. We will mark you as a contest winner. Don't say we never did anything for you. We'll be right back for a little nerd out. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The Check Complete Podcast is brought to you in part by JF Consulting Tax Preparation and Bookkeeping. Taxes suck, we can help. It's time for another session of Referee Nerd Out with Tatum. Tatum?
Yes.
Cards. Yellow and red cards. Okay? We're not doing any of this MASL crap, so we don't have blue. All right, we don't have blue cards. But we just have yellow and red cards here. And we have several from my bag that I've collected over the years of officiating. We were going to do, we had this grand plan of doing, like whoever we draw, we were going to do their, like whatever they suggested, which worked for Keith Keth from week 1. Sorry, Keith. But Fernando suggested, his suggestion was a GPS watch plus heart rate monitor. Does it look like I wear a GPS heart rate monitor,
Yes.
Fernando? The answer is 100% no. So maybe when I go to Taco Bell and then it would spike or something, or a local Chinese buffet. But we'll bring in somebody else to talk about that. We've got a couple people in mind that wear those things. Do you have like a heart rate thing that you, or like what kind of watch do you wear?
I usually wear my Apple
Watch. Yeah. But I know there's people that wear like a GPS, like heart rate thing, and then they wear like the thing, the strap, the little, or the sports bra. Yeah, the sport tech with the little thing in the back. So, yeah. Anyway, we digress. Here we have several cards, and I know there's probably a zillion more out there, but here's several that I have seen over the years. If your cards are not up here, but which ones are your go-to out of these listed? Are you just a plain?
It's plain simple.
Plain Jane, so probably like one of these.
Yeah.
So these are, these are official sports ones. They've got some wear and tear over the years. But it's got the official sports logo. There's nothing on the back. But, so yeah, just your plain yellow.
Simple, yeah.
You're just a simple girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the red card, my beef with the red card is it kind of looks more orangish.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right. But I mean, if you pull this sucker out and it goes, up north here, people are gonna know, right? People are gonna know that it's red because it's different than this. I think I've told the story one time. I had a kid last year in a game. I don't know if it's a kid or an adult, I don't know what game it was, that said, no, it was high school game. And he was kind of being a fill in the blank. And he, I finally had enough with him, and then he gave me a great opportunity. He had a reckless challenge. So I stopped the clock, it was a high school game, stopped the clock, whatever, and I'm like, hey, here you go. So I showed the yellow card, this little sucker, and he goes, what color's that? And I was like, you dirtbag, are you doing this to me? And then he's like, no, I'm colorblind. And I was like, oh, no, it's just yellow. It's just yellow. But is that a thing? Yellow, red, colorblind? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like green, yellow or something. Anyway.
Oh.
I thought he was just yanking my chain. But these are your go-to, okay? Similar ones. So these are just the basic ones. Got some good heft to it.
Yeah.
Right? Similar ones are these. These are a little bit... I can't open it. I think I don't want to tear it. But these have the USSF referee program, logo on the front, and this is on the back. I'm assuming that's the back. Anyway, the OSI logo there. So I carry probably 5 sets of these, just in case I have like some little kids as ball runners or something like that, or people that you're like, hey, thanks, whatever. Like you should come referee. Like give them a yellow and red card. It's kind of fun. I know a lot of referees that will do that. So.
And then you see the kids in the stands holding them up, the referee on the field.
Yes.
I mean, obviously I'm paying attention to the game, right? But
obviously.
I do see some kids,
Peripheral vision.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. We did have this, as far as like the real basic card thing, which I guess these fall under that too. I just got those out, but so I guess before we get to those, these are this is Ref's World. If you've ever seen these, but I love this. We weren't talking about wallets, but I love these cards, and they're not going to come out. I love this wallet, but you can get the basic ones, and I always keep the cards in the wallet. Capelli's.
Probably never use those cards.
Never use those cards. Never use these ones from Capelli either. That's a little bit more red, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right? But I always keep the cards in the book, whatever, just in case. You never know. And then these were, so for our local chapter, college chapter a couple of years ago, we got these custom made through a guy that was in the chapter at the time, Ricky.
Oh.
He's not officiating anymore, sadly, but he got this connected with a company or a group down in Mexico that was making these types of things. And so we got up in the corner, if you can see, it's got our KCI SOA, our little logo, and then on the back, so that's both the yellow and the red card. And then on the back, it has your book, that you can write on, and you can write that with pencil. I mean, I guess you could write with pen, but then you're done using those cards. But you can write with pencil, and it's got all the stuff on there. And I know a lot of referees that do that write on their cards, that will put, paper on it or tape, or some referees, there's like skins that you can buy nowadays. You can buy through different channels, and that's pretty cool. I'm not one of those people. But I used to. There was a while there where, and I don't really like writing on my cards.
I don't write on my cards.
Yeah, because then, like after a goal, if you're recording a goal, you pull out your yellow card to like record a goal, and people are like, "Who got a yellow card?" I'm like, "Well, nobody got a yellow card." They're like, "Why do you have the yellow card out?" I was like, "Well, I'm recording a goal." It's a huge, big mess. Anyway, so I had these write-on cards for a long time. These are, they look like a middle school art project. Really, they look terrible.
Yeah.
And that's
take the sunscreen to.
Yes, you got to use sunscreen to rub it off. Exactly, and it's and it's like pink. Like you get a salmon, you get sent off with a salmon card.
This is the most red.
Yeah, that's red. That's hecka red. And then, but the ones I saved mine. The ones that I use. This is very red right here. That's almost. I don't know. Yeah. I use these Wicked Armor. But if you're from Boston, they're Wicked Armor CADs. These are intense. Feel that. Feel the heft behind that.
Heavy. Yeah.
You could commit a crime with those. I mean, it's significant, like, ooh. But yeah, these are awesome. They're bigger. You can see the size difference on that. And they're reflective. So if you're refereeing in like a forested area at night, But so
stadium lights go off.
Stadium lights go off, and we still have 3 minutes of stoppage time, and we got to get everybody's cars lined up with the headlights, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Or, and you can everybody see, like if I was hunting, if I was hunting and refereeing at the same time, Dick Cheney would not shoot me, right? Was that a thing? Wasn't that a thing? Anyway. Is that a politically charged statement? But that's just a factual thing that occurred, right? Okay, anyway.
Factual.
So I love these. They're awesome. And they're very, too soon. They're very bright. It's very clear. And, it's great. So, these are the cards. And can I tell you a quick pet peeve?
Yeah.
That I've really practiced? When I'm giving a card, I try to make sure that I see a lot of referees give cards and it's like this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like they hold it up and it's like
right,
this.
and you can't even see it.
And I'm like, what is that? So I try to be very conscientious of, and there's different styles, right, of like presenting the card. So I don't know if we want to go down this road of card presentation, but like I've seen some referees where it's just like right on the edge, like this. I'm like, man, I don't know. Strong gust to win, you're toast, right? But this, like you get that thing, and I also see some referees like this, like they get in the middle of it and then they like do this, but you might need to double hand it, get it real. If it's a real gale force kind of hurricane stuff, you got to get two hand on it. Yeah. But I think I get like this, right, and I've trained myself, like even if it's up here, I make sure that my wrist is so that the card is never flat, because then people are like, what? But have you ever put the cards in the wrong pocket?
Oh, yes.
And then accidentally given someone a red card when you need to give them a yellow card?
Yep.
Done that. Mark's done that. Hunley?
Nope.
Idiot.
I'm
really
a professional.
You're whatever. So, but we'll talk another time about where we keep things on our body relative to pockets, that is, with someone else. We won't make you nerd out about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't make you nerd out. But so this has been Cards. Tell us on the social medias, on the interwebs. We'll do some content, so look for that. But tell us where what are your card preferences? Snap a photo maybe of the cards that you use. We might snap some photos. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
Snap photos on how you hold your card.
Ooh.
When you present it.
Card presentation challenge. Maybe we've got another contest winner coming out of that. So I don't know. That could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, this has been Nerd Out with the Cards. It's been very exciting. Thanks for being here for this, Tatum.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to nerd out together. All right. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. The Check Complete podcast is brought to you in part by JF Consulting Tax Preparation and Bookkeeping. Taxes suck, we can help. Super excited today to sit down virtually with Mike Warneke. He is the founder and executive director of Fields of Dreams Uganda. And Mike, we connected ever so briefly on the way out of Philadelphia at the Coaches Convention this past year in 2023. And we've kind of stayed connected, and then finally we've been able to connect here to talk about what you're doing. And I'm really excited about what you're doing, and I'm anxious to have our listeners learn a little bit more, and then hopefully engage with some of what your efforts are here and abroad. So I guess just in the way of introduction, maybe just who you are and how you got started with this, and then we'll learn more about the organization.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for this opportunity, Gordie. I really, really appreciate it. So I live in Kabul, Missouri, kind of here in the Midwest. Have a background in soccer, played soccer throughout my childhood, reffed in West Virginia, that was kind of my side gig throughout kind of my childhood, played very, very briefly at Capital University in Columbus, Ohio. Not much of a career, I would say, but just was a dream to play college soccer. It's been a part of my life, my whole life. Have always loved the power of sports in a kid's life. And so knew that my life somehow would involve that. And so went to Uganda in 2009 on my first trip. At the time, I was working in ministry, kind of youth ministry, child's ministry in Quincy, Illinois, and had the opportunity to travel with another organization called Sweet Sleep, based out of Nashville, Tennessee. They provide beds for orphans around the world. And this was their maiden voyage to Uganda back in 2009. Mm-hmm. And so I'm proud father of 3 kiddos, an amazing wife of 20 years. My middle son, Abel, was a month old on my first trip over to Uganda. And I just fell in love with the culture, the people. I played a lot. I went to 2 kind of orphanages while I was there. And one of those orphanages was called Caring Heart. And I remember playing like 70 on 70 soccer with these kids kind of throughout the day. And it was just a brutal field, to be honest, surrounded by barbed wire fencing. Half the kids didn't have shoes on, rough terrain, just brutal. And there was one soccer ball that was deflated and kind of had been shoved with polythene bags to keep it kind of functional. And I just remember playing again. And if we didn't have that, we would switch over to a banana leaf football or a trash football. And just the love of the sport. And I remember having conversation after conversation on the very first trip of, what do you want to be in your future? What do you want for your future to be? And so many of the kids had the same 5 canned answers: doctor, teacher, lawyer, pilot, engineer. And so it just kind of hit me that realistically, these are kids coming from not just poverty as we know it here in the U.S., but insane degrees of poverty. Maybe a meal a day if they're lucky. Parents are probably peasant farmers working in rock quarries. So just a brutal kind of reality for a lot of these kids. And I remember on that flight home, that long flight home, riding in the back of a cocktail napkin, I want to build soccer fields and help kids figure out their dreams. And so started just talking to friends and family, made many, many trips back, 3 more subsequent trips with this organization called Sweet Sleep, just to meet the right people, do some of that foundational work and kind of build it as an organization. And then we officially became a nonprofit in 2012, Fields of Dreams Uganda, and have been, I'll head back next month on the 5th, and it will be my 54th trip back to Uganda since that first one in 2009. So amazing to see growth. We started with just a national director, added a soccer coach, added a second soccer coach, then a social worker, and we've got 28 full-time staff now in country, all native Ugandans, and then have started a Hope Empowerment Center, which are more sustainable businesses with another 20 employees as well. So been incredible to watch kind of that growth happen over these last 11 years.
Wow, that is incredible. Just how it has continued to grow and to develop. So as it's growing and developing, some of what we've kind of gathered, some of what you're trying to accomplish with that, but maybe unpack a little bit more about what your goals are and how those are being realized in Uganda.
Yeah, the mission of the organization is to provide hope, empowerment, and a future to the vulnerable children of Uganda through the vehicles of soccer and education. And so we're trying to take the world's game. It is our foot in the door with all of these kids' lives. Most of the kids in Uganda just love the sport. It is natural for them to make their own ball, kick it around on the streets. And so it's an easy foot in the door for them, but it's also an avenue of achieving an education for a lot of these kids as well. So we work with local government primary schools. And so those are kind of ages 13 and under, roughly, should be. We've got some 14, 15, 16-year-olds as well. But that's kind of our target audience is bringing kind of soccer programming to those campuses. And then we follow quite a few of those kids on to secondary schools, vocational schools, university as well. So there's about 6,000 kids in our programming any given year. And we use the sport of soccer just to engage, to empower, and provide opportunities. So we have, last count, I think we have 46 kids on scholarship that we're no longer having to pay their school fees because of the game of soccer. So they're getting a free education through that sport. Many of those are girls. Girls football is still in its infancy there in Uganda. And so we're really trying to help develop the girls game. And then we also provide just kind of a connection for your audience. We try to provide some avenues for so many kids that want to have a future in the game, clinics in refereeing, clinics in coaching, helping them get licensing, just because we know that's a really realistic avenue for them to create a future for themselves. So many of them want to be players, so that's great. We know those playing days for all of us come to an end at some point, some earlier than others. And we really know that for them, they can make a decent living in Uganda as a referee. There are 5 professional levels of play in Uganda. And then a lot of U17 programs, university programs, secondary programs. So referees are in high demand, and it's kind of an avenue we're trying to grow there in Uganda as well.
Wow, that's interesting. And so we'll get into in a moment a little bit more about ways that our audience that is primarily referees can participate and engage. But I'm just curious, as you've gone about your work there, I know there's probably a natural mental comparison to what soccer in the United States looks like, youth soccer in the United States looks like, and what the youth soccer in Uganda looks like. It feels like there is, for various reasons, right? There's a fairly stark contrast in that. But are there, kids are kids, right? There's probably some level of similarity that you find as you work with these young folks, right?
Yeah. Soccer is it's joy for these kids. And I look back on my own childhood, grew up kind of in the Midwest, outside the Quad City area in Illinois, and loved soccer as a kid. But I had a stable home. I had 2 parents in my home that loved me, took care of me. I had public schools to go to. I wasn't worried about my safety. I wasn't worried about food in my fridge. I had kind of all those convenience and comforts that if you strip that away for our kids in Uganda, most of them are just left with soccer. Unstable homes, no idea when their next meal is going to come from. School is not free in Uganda. There's public schools, so we work with government schools, but there are still hidden fees everywhere. And so children are often sent home from school because of those fees. And so that's where we kind of step in. But if you take all of that stability away and just leave the game of soccer, that's what so many of these kids have. So it's more than recreation. It's community. It's where their confidence grows. It's family for them. We know there's character development. So we do what we call men of integrity training and women of substance training to try and teach them to be men and women of high character. And so we use the sport to do that as well. So it's so much more for these kids. We're here in the U.S. It's wonderful, and it is for a lot of young men and women a building block to character development, to all of those things. But it's part of their childhood. It's an added bonus, where in Uganda, for so many of these kids, it is everything. There is a former one of our players that's actually now here in the U.S. playing in Cincinnati, oddly enough, and kind of working for a couple of cable companies on and off. But Mansoul used to say when he was a kid, if I was starving, I would eat soccer. If I was terrified, scared, like soccer was everything. And so for these kids, it's an escape from their current struggles and realities as well, and in a way that I will never fully be able to appreciate or understand.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, anytime you have opportunities like this to broaden your perspective and your worldview, that's got to be helpful. But does it, and this is a fairly personal question, I suppose, does it jade your perspective of soccer in the United States? Do you have to guard against that?
It jades my perspective, not just soccer, but life in general. So
Yeah.
if you're not careful, it can easily kind of overtake, and it's, if you dwell on it, it can be really tough. But amidst the difficulties, the struggles, you see the joy and the gratitude amidst these kids, and it kind of brings it more back to its purity, of why soccer is what it is, and why it's the world's game, and why it's accessed by the world's poor across. I mean, there's a reason it's the world's game, because everyone has access to it. You make your own garbage ball, or out of polythene bags, or out of banana fibers. You set up a couple of bricks and you have a game with your buddies. And so in essence, it kind of strips it down to the beauty of why it is the world's game, and why it is so beautiful, and why it is so uniting to so many. So you can focus on the bad. You can focus on maybe the excess. I sometimes call it the poverty of too much here in the U.S. And we can easily become jaded and distracted. But it really, I think for anyone that goes to Uganda with that sports mindset, with that soccer mindset, they get to just kind of fall in love with the game again, because you get to see it through their eyes, which is beautiful.
That is powerful. Absolutely. So as folks are listening to this, there might be something stirring in people to go, okay, this is compelling to me. How do I get involved? What's your answer to that question?
Yeah, there's a number of ways, and Uganda is not going to kind of be the fit for everyone.
Sure.
For one, I'd say just use the game for good in your own community, to honor these kids, not just in Uganda, but across the globe, that loves the game. So use the game for good. But if you have any inkling of doing more, we invite you to be a part of what we're doing there in Uganda. So there's a couple of different areas and opportunities. I'm going to start at the top and kind of work my way down to the easiest. The biggest and I think the best opportunity is to travel to Uganda with us. I've got trips throughout the year. I'm there 6 times a year. In Uganda, we have lodging, transportation, everything's figured out. All those logistics are covered. So it's just literally you signing up. I'm prepping you kind of to get ready for a trip like that. And all of our trips are a little bit different and unique based on the time you go, because we're much more kind of soccer heavy on our March kind of trips. And then at the end of the year, November, and when exams are kind of finished for our schools. But any of those trips are going to involve soccer, but they're going to involve a real taste of what life is like in Uganda as we go to our partner schools, as you walk side by side with our staff. And a trip to Uganda is usually like a 12-day trip, is kind of in that $2,500 to $3,000 range, based on, it just depends on flights, where you're coming from in the country or the globe. But once you're in country, we try to make it as minimal as possible, because we just want you there. So we're not making money off of your trip there. So that's kind of the high level way of getting involved. Other levels are working with us. We have a soccer committee kind of on our board of directors. So coming alongside us, to dream, to vision, to try to engage local communities. With soccer being $1 billion industry in this country, you would think it would be where most of our funding comes from, but most of our funding is from individuals, small grants kind of here and there. But from the soccer world, it's very minimal. And it's hard because we know so many clubs are just trying to survive on their own. And so, but we also know there are families involved in the world of soccer that could definitely get involved in our work too. So trying to build maybe a platform for us to come and speak in your community, come and talk to your clubs that you're involved in as a referee. There's those kind of opportunities as well.
Yeah,
we are always bringing gear to Uganda. So I bring roughly 100 pounds of gear for every volunteer that goes to Uganda. I have a warehouse behind my house that I just house this. So whether that's shipped to me, or if we have a board member kind of in your neck of the woods. So cleats are the biggest need that we have. And the kids of Uganda are all built like men, like just with large feet. Even these small kids have insanely large feet. And then when you go to northern Uganda, as you get kind of closer to that South Sudanese border as well, like size 11, 12, 13, like just big shoes are needed. And so often when we get donations, it's those kid size 11s, 12s, 1s, 2s that are fine, but that's our biggest need are kind of those larger size cleats as well. We do bring over some referee gear as well, if that's what you have access of. But as I told Gordie earlier, unless you're willing to put it on your own kid, like we don't want your cast-offs. We don't want your stuff that's half chewed through. We don't want your soccer balls that, have a patch missing on them already and are going to last a minute on the soccer field. So we bring gear over there. And then the last way to get involved, we have different campaigns throughout the year. If you follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook, it's foduganda. And I know they'll have some links on here for you guys. But if you follow us, you'll see kind of opportunities as well through campaigns. We do a lot of peer-to-peer campaigns. We have a 5K coming up in October on the 7th called the Fodu 5K for Hope. And we have virtual runner options for people to kind of take part in that wherever you are on the planet. And also to sponsor our runners actually in Uganda. The coolest part about that is we've got 5 hubs in the U.S., and then we'll have about 1,000 runners in Uganda running on that same day. So it's kind of this unifying effort, which is one of my favorite events, one of my favorite days out of the year. So there's, high and kind of low areas of future involvement. And just look me up and reach out if there are other ways. We are a small organization. I'm our only U.S. staff member. We've got a great board that helps me, but there's not bureaucracy to jump through if you want to get involved. There are things we can dream up and do together to better the life of the kids in Uganda. And at the end, that's the goal, that's the mission, just to provide opportunities for these incredibly gifted kids that's what they're lacking. The skills are there, the passion's there. It's just simply the lack of opportunities right now.
Right. Lots of great opportunities there for us to engage and get involved. Like Mike said, we will include on our social media as well as on our, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the comments or in the description of the video, we'll include all this information where you're able to access and connect with what they're doing. I want to go back to one other item you said before we kind of wrap up our conversation here. You talked about just some of the very basic things is to, and I forgive me if I think you said use the game for good in your area. I don't know exactly how you worded that, but I think, sometimes, and for some people, this might be very reasonable for them to, I'm going to carve out space. I'm going to get involved in these very tangible ways. For others, like you said, this might not be the perfect fit, but there are opportunities in your neck of the woods, in your neighborhoods, in your communities. Kind of putting you on the spot, but are there things that come to mind to just like little practical things that people can do in just what they already have?
Yeah. I think for me, I realize that my work in Uganda is a special calling, a unique calling that not everyone can kind of wrap their mind in or get involved in. Open your eyes, be a noticer. It's often more simple than we like to believe. And so if you open your eyes, look around your community, when you're on the pitch, look at the kids that are struggling, that are there alone without parents, without family, no one cheering them on. Look at people that are lacking the right gear or just torn gear, beat up gear. It's just a matter of opening our eyes in our own communities as well and noticing where the needs are and inserting ourselves, being brave enough to approach and act. And that's kind of the scariest part in there, but have conversations in your own communities, open your eyes, and don't just go about your job so quickly and it's easy to do. We've all got stuff. We've all got our own challenges. We've all got our own struggles. And I don't want to diminish that for any of you that may be listening, but at the same time, if we open our eyes, just an encouraging word to a kid on the pitch goes a long way. We know that. As you are not just referees, but kind of teaching the game, especially if you're reffing at that younger level. There's so much encouragement that you can provide on the pitch as well after a game. And it's a tough environment right now, reffing in any sport. Just being cool, calm, and collected goes a long way. I know that seems like small stuff, but your example on the pitch as well, as a referee, being a man or woman of integrity as you ref, like all of those things seem small, but if we all do them well, they add up to big things.
Yeah. Beautifully said. Mike, this has been a wonderful conversation. This hopefully is a launching pad for folks, whether that be connecting with you or just like you said, having eyes and ears open to what's in their own backyard. Because even as we're sitting here, even as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about what's just right around the corner from me, that it's very easy to go, well, I've got my tunnel vision, I've got my schedule, I've got my calendar, and someone else will take care of these things if it pops, but it has to get right here. So maybe it's just, opening our eyes and going, okay, give myself a little bit of a breath and carving out some margin and some space to be able to see what's around me and go, what can I do that's maybe just a stepping outside of myself and being a part of something that could change someone else's life. So
absolutely.
Any other final thoughts for the Check Complete podcast, Mike?
I just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for meeting with me, and thank you to everyone out there that is doing good in their own backyard as well. So just happy to be a part of this and invite you to come along. It is a story of hope that is taking place in Uganda, and this is your invitation to get involved if you'd like, and I can guarantee you if you get deeply involved, it will change your life in the best of ways.
Amazing. Mike, we will keep in touch. We'll continue to promote what you're doing through our social media channels and all of that kind of stuff. But thanks for your time. This has been wonderful.
Well, it's time to tie a bow onto season 2, episode number 6 of the Check Complete podcast. We've had some fun with this episode. Yeah, hopefully we will hear and see from you all with regards to your cards or even card presentation. I know that might be weird, but I don't know. Do your thing. But we would love to hear from you if you have, if you'd like to be added to the mug with your suggestions or with your name, if you have a suggestion for an item or items for us to nerd out about in a future segment, we would love to hear from you. We have blank pieces of paper in this mug just waiting for your name. And then what we do is we put your name on it and put it in this mug. So do that.
Yeah.
Do that. Thanks to Fernando for his suggestion today of the heart rate thing, and we heard you and we talked about cards. So we'll do a heart rate GPS monitor thing at another date, but that's a great suggestion. Like we said, if you have things for us, if you'd like to hear us talk about specific content, if you have a guest that you'd like for us to chat with, we are open to those names. Send that to us at check_complete on Twitter and Instagram, Check Complete Podcast on Facebook, info@checkcompletepodcast.com on the email, or just even comment on YouTube if you're watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So, all right, so what's on the docket for the rest of the evening?
Go play with baby Goose.
Going to see Goose. It's Goose time. Very good. Well, we won't keep you from Goose any longer. Thank you so much, Tatum. We really appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching or listening or both. And we appreciate you for being listeners of our program. We'll be back next time with season 2, episode number 7. More great content and nerding out ahead. Take care.